Hey guys, if you love what you see, then please dislike this video, it's a great disservice. Okay, so you read the title and you're maybe a little bit angry or confused, and let me say, I love this game, I just dislike the story. And secondly, you may think, why post a video talking negatively about a game that everybody loves? And I have 3 reasons. The first reason has to do with this being the second part to why Arkham Knight wasn't a disappointment. And I want to use this video to explain the hypocritical statements people use when it comes to Arkham Knight, and how people are biased towards Arkham City. But all that is something I'll go even more in depth in part 3. And the second reason as to why I'm doing this video has to do with an important subject in today's time. The more and more movies and games come out, I think we begin to realize the thing we used to say was good, maybe need to put down a tier. And I think one of the best examples in this area is Arkham City. Basically, this is a nostalgia critic, but actually good. And my third reason to doing this video is probably the best reason. I'm doing this video because I'm a sofa. So with this in mind, let's begin. Okay.
So, you know my name. Good. Because I know everything about you. Your darkest secret. Your ultimate weakness. I know you are Bruce Wayne.
Okay, question time. So what was it in Arkham City that disappointed me? Was it A, story, B, runtime, C, stakes, D, my life? The answer is, drumroll please, all of them. Okay, but to explain this we need to take one step at a time. So let's first talk about runtime. Part 1, bad time equals 8. The reason I want to touch about runtime first is because I want to make this section short, like the game. Now I have played this game 2 times. First time I played it was basically applying gameplay. Sometimes I got stuck in some section because I'm an idiot, and because of that it took me first time 6.5 hours to beat the main story. And the second time I played it, it took me 4.5 hours to beat the game. Doesn't that seem fun? The reason this is bad is because a short time in a story can create a lot of rush in areas. For example, after Ra's al Ghul dies, we immediately go to Joker poison plot like everything that happened didn't exist. And I really don't know why they felt like they were in a rush. I mean, even Paper Mario Sticker Star takes longer time to beat. How is the first game able to be longer than the second game? And because of this game rushed the runtime, it of course affects the story. Part 1. Rian Johnson made this game. The best example of this is with Protocol 10 B story. I call it the B story, but the overall game focuses more on Hugo Strange than it does the Joker and Batman relationship. But hey, this game doesn't know what it wants to be. This section of the game looks like it's the most important, and there's a good reason for it. The game builds up Protocol 10 from the very beginning. First time playing Arkham City, I thought it was a building up to reveal that will rock your socks. I thought it was going to be a connection to the Joker poison plot, which makes sense since the Arkham series about Batman and Joker. But instead we get a classic, I want to destroy everything story. Is this really a good reveal? What's more annoying is the fact that as soon as Hugo betrays Ra's, the whole game forgets there was a giant destruction, where thousands of people had died, and then just decides to move on to the Joker story. What was the point? Do you know why Batman stops criminals? It's because he also cares about human lives, but apparently not in Arkham City. How does this section of the game change anything? How does it affect Batman? How does it affect Gotham? Is there a theme in it? Is there emotional stake on the line? Should we be scared because maybe Batman has to step over his one rule? But that is something that's way better. A big bag full of nothing. But Julian, wasn't it so surprising when Ra's al Ghul was the bad guy? Yes, it was so awesome because I thought maybe he could kill Batman so this stupid block could find the end, you dumb giraffe. Honestly, having Ra's being the bad guy behind it all would be just as shocking if Mr. Freeze was behind. They just put it in because I don't know why. Ra's is such an interesting character in the comics and in Batman Begins, because Ra's in Batman Begins has at least motivation that is interesting. It's not just some bad guy you could replace him with anyone else. And what's more annoying is the fact that Hugo Strange becomes a nobody in the end of the game. They created such an interesting character with Hugo Strange, and he was a genuine threat to Batman. Not because he was a strong, big, tough guy, but because he knows his secret identity. And he seems to constantly threaten Batman by exposing him. But having used for nothing makes that also pointless. The fact that he dies then gets forgotten because of Joker's death is just sad. To explain this as simply as possible, this game subverted my expectation in all the wrong ways. I told you Rian Johnson made this game. Part 3. But in the end of the game, do we not only learn there were 2 Jokers, but then the best written character in the Arkham games, no, in the entire comic history, dies. I'm of course talking about Talia al Ghul, the most complex character ever. Without her, the story would just have fallen apart, and we all would have to cry ourselves to I'm sorry guys. That was my evil clone, Julian Wasn't that a fantastic twist? I love when people are talking about Arkham City and why it's just so good. People avoid talking about Talia. Are you guys so loyal to your game that you can't even say one bad thing about it? Talia is such a worthless character. Such a lazily written character. Such a waste of space that you could replace her with Donald Duck and the story would be more interesting. The romance is so disconnected that when she finally dies, there's not even an expression from Bruce Wayne that shows sadness, because he's probably glad she died too. Even the creators of Arkham City just know one thing that makes Talia interesting. She's hot. That's it. The voice actor has such a lazy performance that my voice begins to sound like Morgan Freeman covered in peanut butter. And people say that Scarecrow was lazily written in Arkham Knight. Oh please. The same thing can be said about Catwoman. She's just a character that if you put her out of her mystery, the overall story will stay the same. Poison Ivy, Catwoman, and Talia al Ghul have no soul. They are worthless people, but we keep our mouths shut because they have nice butts. Part 1. At 3 AM, I'm coming to your home to stab you, aka stakes. Now stakes are important in a game, because there needs to be tension for the story to be interesting. And in games that is especially important. Now interesting stakes is something people will like to call Batman Arkham City, because Batman is about to die in the game. So why not take a tour down this stupid argument? Now the most interesting to happen in the game that makes you feel weak or hopeless is in the beginning of the game. Because not only are we being captured and we learn that Hugo knows our secret identity, which sets up a fearful stake of the game, but then the gameplay turns into a first person as Bruce Wayne. Defenseless, we walk into Arkham City where we learn just how horrible this place is going to be. This is an interesting setup because the game is called Batman Arkham City. We are the Dark Knight. We go around punching people in the face. That's our job. But having this intro we don't have a chance to defend ourselves is interesting tension because we don't know what's going to happen to Bruce. It's just kinda sad it ends so fast. But after this amazing intro, we go downhill. We get to the Joker poison plot, which people will like to call amazing. But have you ever tried thinking about this very carefully? How does this affect the gameplay or story in any way? Let's begin with story. When we first get the poison, do we have a sense of time when this poison will kill us? No, the only line we get is, "Look, we're running out of time." A good knowledge of time is important to give a sense of urgency and fear, but because Batman doesn't even seem to twitch in the end of the game, it felt like I didn't even have any poison in me. Yeah, I remember that famous line, "This game makes you feel like Batman." If that line is so true that it needs to appear at every single analysis, retrospective or review, then why does this game fail at making you feel like you're close to death? In the end of the game, in the final cutscene, does it really feel like you've been trying so hard, or has it only felt you move Batman from A to B so the cutscene can do the action instead of you, the player? My point is this, if this game is what is supposedly the best in the franchise, the best at making you feel like the broken Bat, the man who suffered a terrible loss with his parents, the man who needs to constantly question his moral decisions in life, the man who keeps getting pushed and tortured to kill one single maniac, why is this game's best attempt at making you feel like the Bat, having you watch Batman making a morally decision that you had no part in playing? The closest thing we get to feel like we're about to die is when we get to Wonder City, but the problem here is the fact that this section of the game is the only part in which the gameplay gets affected by the poison, instead of being a slow burn for the rest of the game. I'm not saying the gameplay should be intolerable, but imagine some sections like the Predator section, where because of the poison you need to adapt, but because the poison plot doesn't even affect the story or gameplay in any emotional or fearful way. They could have just the same cut it out. But this wasn't truly the thing that pissed me off. Part 14. Joker is gay in City. The thing that hurts me the most about this game is the direction this game took with the Batman and Joker relationship. I have already touched upon how this series' main story with Batman and Joker gets pushed aside for a lousy story with no impact in this game. But that isn't the main problem. Tell me, what is the actual point of the Joker and Batman relationship? Well, why don't we turn to the most popular Batman and Joker comic, The Killing Joke? The point about these two in that comic is to ask the question, what is better, to fight or to give up? Yes, Batman and the Joker is not just a simple good and bad story. They explore dilemmas about morality like nihilism. In the end of The Dark Knight, it's not just a fight between two guys who don't like each other. It's Joker testing everyone in Gotham. Why do you think Joker keeps pushing Batman to kill him? It's because Joker wants to prove that everyone can become him in just one bad day. So we have the two most interesting duos in entertainment history, and what does the creative team of Arkham City decide to do? They decide to make the Joker an ordinary bad guy and die because why not? Can you look me in the eyes and say that's fitting for these two insane characters? Can you honestly say that Batman may be designed to kill the Joker seems organic, even though we have never seen this kind of dialogue in the entire time? Can you even think without bursting out laughing? Without questioning maybe I misjudged this game. Fantastic story. The Joker dies because he's an idiot. Not because Joker finally got Batman to break his one rule, but because he was an idiot. The Joker and Batman we get in Arkham City does not feel like the two most interesting deep dives into human psychic, but rather feels like the relationship between Loki and Thor. And because Joker doesn't even have a reason to keep Batman alive, he just becomes gay. The reason why we are shocked when Joker dies is because it's the Joker, and Mark Hamill sells his portrayal of the Joker so good that it feels like it dies with him, not because it has any deep meaning or impact. And what's also annoying is the fact that Joker becomes a backseat villain so they can make a twist that doesn't impact the game at all. Honestly tell me, how does the fact that Clayface is the Joker a good twist? Well, it was because you don't see it coming. Twist shouldn't just be a surprise, it should fit the overall game together and fit with the themes in the story. For example, spoilers for Shutter Island. Shutter Island is about one out of several themes, and one of them is the question, is it better to remember the past or forget it? And that idea is a connection to the twist in the story, because you have followed the whole movie thinking everyone in this island is insane and Teddy Daniels is the one sane one. But then you see the twist where you learn that Teddy is just as insane as everyone else, even more. This twist is important because the next time you see it, you ask yourself this question: would you live in the reality Teddy lives in, or would you come to terms to what he did? But in City, the twist has nothing to do with anything, and the second time you play it, there's no deep impact on the overall story, but the game just asks you to shut up and hopes you can accept the character appearance. And you cannot understand how big of a disappointment this whole crap is. Part 1. Houdini Hocus Pocus, the spirit of Batman. But who do we have to blame for this horrendous couple? Well, I think I know who it is, and you are not going to be happy about this, but I think it's Paul Dini. Now listen, I love Batman, the animated series, but I'm not going to say this is the best depiction of Batman. I mean, the Joker tries several times to kill Batman. And do you really think that fits with the Joker's personality? My point is, Paul Dini hasn't written one of the best depictions of Batman. He's just written the most digestible. And it shows when the stories in Batman, Arkham Asylum and City are so simple and annoying. Arkham Asylum and City feel like short Batman adventure stories. But do we really have to sacrifice runtime and poor dialogue? I have seen kids movies that are more complicated than Arkham City. Honestly, that's why I love Batman Arkham Knight. And I will get into that the next part. But my final point is this. Part 666. I'm a young loser with no friends. Arkham City is the best example of nostalgia clouding people's thoughts on future games, trying to best their successor. As much as I joked at the beginning of the video, where I said that one of the reasons this game wasn't good was because of my life, it's still kinda true. If I was maybe older and had played more crappy superhero video games, then maybe I had liked Arkham City more. You hear this everywhere when it comes to Arkham Asylum. People hadn't seen a good superhero game in forever. So when Rocksteady made a 1,000 times better game than all that crap we got, of course people are going to call that the best superhero game ever. And when they went forward and made a sequel to Arkham Asylum where they expanded the overall game, can you imagine how even more that must have blown people away? So when they make a sequel to apparently one of the best games in the world, and they make a completely different experience than Asylum and City, I can imagine people put on their nostalgia classes and get pissed off. But people need to accept that Night can't be compared to City and Asylum. City and Asylum are trying to be children's stories, while Arkham Knight is trying to explore more complex themes. It actually hurts my living soul and body when people call Night bad, but compared to City it makes it look like Citizen Kane. If Night goes down in history as the bad game, I will be sure to call out people by their hypocrisy. I played Arkham Asylum, City and Night in 2 weeks. I can safely say that Night is the best of the bunch. That doesn't mean Asylum and City are trash. I have fond memories of these games, like the Scarecrow section or the Ra's al Ghul fights in City, but Arkham Knight is the only game that made me feel like the Batman. But that discussion needs to be saved for next week. In the meantime, try not to kill me, and honestly, I love City. I have played it a couple times and I love it to bits. This was just a breakdown in the story, to make you guys ready for part 3. But in the meantime, stay safe and remember to vote Obama for President 2020. Bye bye.